Welcome to the deep dive. You know we love to get into the nitty-gritty, and today we're going to unlock the power of letting go. Letting go of those negative emotions, past regrets, just anything that's keeping you stuck. And to help us out on this journey, we've got a couple of really cool resources. A research paper. It's called The Art of Letting Go, How to Release Stress and Move Forward, and an article from Mind Body Wise called The Art of Letting Go and How to Begin. Ever notice how holding on to anger or stress just makes you feel like weighed down?
Yeah, it's like you're carrying around this backpack full of rocks, right?
That,
You might even be so used to the weight that you don't realize how much it's slowing you down.
that is such a good analogy.
Yeah.
And the research actually backs that up. The American Psychological Association, they found that chronic stress doesn't just make you feel bad. It can actually lead to real issues, anxiety, depression, even physical health problems. So how do we ditch this baggage and start moving forward?
Well, I think the first step is to really understand why we cling to these negative experiences in the first place. This research paper talks about a concept called rumination. And basically, it means replaying those negative thoughts and emotions over and over and over again in your mind.
Like that song you just can't get out of your head, but instead of a catchy tune, it's a loop of, I should have done this, or why did that happen?
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. And research from Clinical Psychology Review, it's actually linked rumination to increased anxiety and depression. It's this vicious cycle. The more you ruminate, the worse you feel, and the worse you feel, the more you ruminate.
So it's not just feeling bad in the moment. It's like you get trapped in a downward spiral.
Hmm.
But this holding on, it doesn't just affect our minds, does it?
Yeah.
What about the physical impact?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's a really important point. The research paper actually highlights how stress and, unresolved emotions can manifest in our bodies physically. It cites a study in health psychology that looks at the link between holding on to stress and cortisol levels. Cortisol, that's the stress hormone, right?
Yeah.
And chronically elevated levels of cortisol can really wreak havoc on your body. It can actually weaken your immune system, increase your risk of heart problems.
It's like our bodies haven't quite caught up to the fact that, the stressful event is over. We're still reacting as if it's happening right now in the present moment.
And what's really interesting is this study, they looked at people who were holding on to resentment, like from a past social transgression, something that happened, years ago.
Yeah.
And they had these participants relive the experience in their minds while they monitored their vital signs. And they found that just the act of reliving this negative experience, it caused this spike in cortisol, blood pressure, heart rate. And this event had happened, a long time ago.
That's wild.
So it really suggests that holding on to those negative emotions keeps your body in a constant state of stress.
Even if the original trigger is long gone. Wow.
Yeah.
That really brings to life that quote from the Mind Body Wise article. It says, the body holds what the heart and mind struggle to release. So if we're holding on to all this negativity, mentally and physically, what is the key to breaking free?
Well, one of the most powerful tools we have for letting go is forgiveness.
Okay.
I know that word forgiveness can feel kind of loaded sometimes.
Yeah.
And it's important to understand that forgiveness, it doesn't mean condoning or forgetting what happened.
Right. I think that's where a lot of people get stuck. Why should I forgive someone who hurt me?
Yeah, exactly. But what if I told you that forgiveness is actually more about you than it is about the other person?
Okay.
The research defines forgiveness as this conscious decision to release yourself from the burden of that anger and resentment. It's about reclaiming your own peace of mind, not necessarily about giving the other person a free pass.
So it's less about them and more about freeing yourself from the weight of that negativity.
Precisely. And research has actually shown that this shift in perspective, it can have a profound impact on your well-being.
Interesting.
A study in Personality and Social Psychology Review found that practicing forgiveness, it actually leads to significant reductions in stress. It boosts your overall well-being.
So tangible benefits.
Yeah. Participants who practiced forgiveness, they reported feeling less anxious, less depressed, more hopeful about the future. They also showed improvements in physical health markers like, their blood pressure and sleep quality.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah.
It makes a lot of sense when you think about it, right?
Yeah.
If you're constantly replaying that hurt or the injustice in your mind, you're kind of keeping yourself stuck in that negative energy.
Yeah.
But by choosing to forgive, you're essentially hitting the reset button and opening yourself up to more positive emotions, more positive experiences. So forgiveness, it's a great first step.
Yeah.
But what else can we do to cultivate this art of letting go? Like, what are the benefits that we can look forward to when we start releasing this baggage?
Well, letting go, it doesn't just make you feel better, it can actually make your mind sharper.
Hmm.
Like, think of it this way. When you declutter a room, what happens? You create space. You can move more freely, you find things easier, you just feel lighter overall. Letting go of negative emotions, it's like decluttering your mind. It frees up that mental space for you to focus on what really matters.
I love that analogy.
Mhm.
So are there studies that show this actually happening? Like letting go actually makes you think more clearly?
Oh, absolutely. There's a study in Frontiers in Psychology, and they look at the impact of emotional release techniques on, cognitive function, decision making. The researchers, they found that the participants who practice things like journaling, mindfulness, expressive writing, they actually perform better on tasks that require focus, problem solving, decision making. They weren't as distracted by those negative thoughts and emotions.
So it's like emotional baggage can actually cloud our judgment,
Yeah.
make it harder to think straight. So by letting go, we're essentially clearing the fog, allowing our minds to work at their best. This is starting to feel less like, fluffy self-help and more like a strategic advantage in life.
It really is.
What other benefits can we expect when we start letting go?
One of the most powerful outcomes is increased emotional resilience. Think of resilience kind of like as your ability to bounce back from challenges, adapt to change. It's like having a strong core, right? It
Yeah.
helps you stay upright and balanced even when things get tough.
So like mental toughness.
Yeah.
But how does letting go contribute to that?
Well, it's about breaking free from the grip of those negative emotions. The more you practice letting go, the less power those emotions have over you. It's like building mental muscles. The more you use them, the stronger they get. And when you're not weighed down by negativity, you have more energy, more mental bandwidth to face those challenges head on.
That makes sense. If you're constantly battling this inner turmoil, it's going to drain your energy and make it harder to cope with, external stressors.
Yeah.
So are there studies that actually link these letting go practices to like an actual resilience boost?
Oh, yeah. There are several studies that highlight this connection between letting go and increased resilience. One study tracked individuals who were going through a major life transition, like a divorce or job loss, and they found that the people who practice emotional release techniques, they actually reported less emotional distress. They had better problem-solving abilities. They had a greater sense of control over their lives, even in the midst of all this chaos. And what's really interesting is that these individuals didn't just feel better, they actually performed better in their lives. They were more likely to stay engaged in their work, maintain healthy relationships, continue pursuing their goals, even when they faced setbacks.
So it's not just about feeling better, it's about actually functioning better when things get tough.
Hmm.
It sounds like letting go is the secret weapon to not just surviving, but thriving in a world that's full of challenges.
Mhm.
We've talked about forgiveness, mental clarity, resilience. What other areas of life can benefit from this art of letting go?
Relationships. Letting go can have a profound impact on our relationships. Think about it. If you're holding on to that resentment, that anger, the hurt from past interactions, it's going to affect how you show up in your current relationships. It's like that baggage that we were talking about earlier. If you're carrying all that negativity, it's going to weigh down your interactions with others.
Right, you bring that baggage into every interaction.
Exactly. But when you choose to let go of those grudges, those resentments, what happens? You create space for understanding, for empathy, for deeper connection. It allows you to see the other person more clearly without that filter of past hurts. It's like you're hitting the refresh button on your relationships.
Hitting the refresh button. Love it.
And there's actually research to back up this idea. A study in the Journal of Positive Psychology found a very strong link between emotional release and greater relationship satisfaction. Individuals who were able to let go of those past hurts, they reported feeling closer to their partners, they experienced less conflict, they had a more positive outlook on the future of their relationship.
It makes sense though, right? If you're constantly rehashing old arguments, holding on to grudges, it's going to create this barrier between you and the other person.
Yeah.
But by choosing to let go, you're essentially clearing the path for more open, more loving communication.
Ooh.
Okay, I'm officially convinced. Letting go is the key to, a happier, healthier, more connected life. But here's the million-dollar question. How do we actually do it? What are the tools, like the practical tools that we can use to start letting go and experiencing all these amazing benefits?
That's the perfect question, and that's what we're going to dig into next. This research paper, it outlines some really practical techniques that we can all add to our letting go toolkit.
Okay, I'm ready to get practical. Tell me about these tools.
All right, so the first tool we're going to explore is mindfulness.
Mindfulness.
I know, it sounds a little bit trendy,
Yeah.
but it's actually rooted in, ancient practices and it's backed up by modern science. Essentially, mindfulness is about training your mind to be fully present in this moment, observing your thoughts and emotions without judgment.
So instead of getting swept away by those thoughts and those feelings, we're learning to kind of just notice them without getting caught up in like all the drama.
Exactly. It's like watching clouds drift by. You see them, you acknowledge them, but you don't try to control them, you don't get attached to them, they just are. And there's a growing body of research that actually shows the benefits of this practice. A study in Mindfulness Journal, they found that mindfulness-based interventions can help rewire the brain, leading to significant reductions in stress and improvements in emotional regulation.
So it's not just like a feel-good practice.
No.
It's actually changing how our brains respond to stress.
It is.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
But I have to admit, sometimes the idea of, being present,
Mm-hmm.
it feels a little abstract.
Sure.
Do you have any practical tips for incorporating mindfulness into everyday life?
Absolutely. Even just a few minutes of daily practice can make a big difference. The key is to find what works for you. Some people find guided meditations really helpful. Others prefer mindful movement practices like yoga or tai chi. And you can even incorporate mindfulness into everyday activities like eating, walking, even washing the dishes.
So it's not about adding another thing to our to-do list.
Right.
It's about bringing more awareness to the things that we're already doing.
Exactly.
Okay, I like that. And I know the Mind Body Wise article, they actually had a really simple exercise for practicing mindfulness. Could we try that now?
Yeah, let's do it. If you're comfortable, go ahead and find a comfortable position and close your eyes. Just take a few deep breaths, noticing the rise and fall of your chest. And now bring your attention to your body. Just scan from the top of your head to the tips of your toes, noticing any sensations. Are there any areas of tension, tightness, warmth? Just notice these sensations without trying to change them. See if you can just be with your experience in this moment without judgment.
Wow, I didn't realize how much I was holding in my shoulders. It feels like I've been carrying the weight of the world up there.
That's really common. A lot of us carry tension in our bodies without even realizing it. The key is just to simply notice it and acknowledge it. And as you continue to practice mindfulness, you'll become more and more aware of these sensations and how they're actually connected to your thoughts and emotions.
That was really helpful. I feel a bit more grounded already. What other tools can we add to our letting go toolkit?
Another really powerful technique is journaling. Now, I know some people might think of journaling as something you did, as a teenager, but it's actually a really effective tool for processing and releasing emotions at any age.
So it's more than just Dear Diary.
Yeah, exactly. Think of it as like a safe space to just explore your thoughts and feelings without judgment. You can write about anything that's on your mind, your worries, your frustrations, your joys, your insights. And the research actually shows that just the simple act of putting these emotions into words, it can have a really profound impact on your well-being. A study in the Journal of Research and Personality found that expressive writing, which is a form of journaling where you write freely about your emotions, it actually helps to reduce rumination and promote emotional clarity.
That makes sense because sometimes I feel like my thoughts are just swirling around in my head, and by writing them down, I can start to make sense of them and then let them go. Are there any specific prompts or techniques that are particularly helpful for letting go?
Yeah, actually, the research paper suggests a few different approaches. One is to just write about a specific event or emotion that's really bothering you. Don't censor yourself, just let it all out on the page. Another technique is to write a letter to someone you need to forgive, even if you never actually send it. The act of writing that letter can help you process those emotions and, move towards forgiveness. And another really powerful prompt is to write about what you're grateful for. Focusing on gratitude can really help shift your perspective and help you appreciate those good things in your life, even when things are tough.
Okay, those are all great ideas. I think I'm going to dust off my old journal and give this a try. So mindfulness journaling, what's the final tool in our letting go arsenal?
All right, so the last tool we'll explore is called cognitive reframing.
Cognitive reframing.
It might sound a little bit technical,
Yeah.
but it's actually a very simple and powerful technique for shifting your perspective on challenging situations.
So it's about changing the way we think about things.
Exactly. Cognitive reframing is all about identifying those negative thought patterns that are keeping you stuck and then consciously choosing to look at the situation from, a more empowering perspective.
Okay, so it's like choosing to see the glass as half full instead of half empty.
That's a great analogy. It's about recognizing that our thoughts, they aren't always an accurate reflection of reality. They're often colored by our past experiences, our beliefs, our current emotional state. And sometimes those thoughts can lead us down a rabbit hole of negativity and self-doubt. But by using cognitive reframing, we can learn to interrupt those negative thought patterns and choose a more empowering perspective.
Can you give me like an example of how this works in real life?
Yeah, sure. Let's say you make a mistake at work. Your initial thought might be, I'm so stupid, I'm going to get fired. This
Yeah.
is actually an example of what cognitive psychologists call, catastrophizing. So
Catastrophize.
jumping to that worst case scenario.
Yeah.
And that kind of thinking, it can trigger like a whole cascade of negative emotions, anxiety, shame, fear. But if you use cognitive reframing, you can challenge that thought. You might ask yourself, is it really true that I'm stupid? Or did we just make a simple human error? Everyone makes mistakes. What can I learn from this experience so I can do better next time?
So instead of, beating yourself up, you're using the experience as an opportunity for growth.
Exactly.
I like that. But how do we know that this cognitive reframing actually works? Like, is there research to support this?
Oh, yeah. There's a growing body of research that shows the effectiveness of cognitive reframing for managing stress, anxiety, and depression. A study in behavior research and therapy actually found that cognitive reframing techniques, they help participants to reduce their negative thoughts and emotions, leading to improvements in mood and overall well-being.
Okay, I'm definitely adding this to my toolkit. So we've got mindfulness, journaling, cognitive reframing. These are all great tools, but I have to admit, sometimes the idea of letting go, especially when it comes to like really deep-seated hurts or past traumas, it can feel really daunting. What if it's just like too hard?
That's a valid concern.
Hmm.
Letting go, especially when it comes to painful experiences, it's not always easy. And it's really important to be patient and compassionate with yourself during this process.
So we need to be gentle with ourselves.
Yes.
What are some practical tips for kind of navigating those challenges?
Well, one of the most important things is to start small. You don't have to try and tackle everything at once. Choose one specific emotion or situation that you feel ready to work on and just focus on that. It could be something as simple as letting go of the frustration from a recent argument or the disappointment from a missed opportunity. Just start small.
So like breaking down a big project into smaller, more manageable steps.
Exactly. And as you gain confidence and momentum, you can gradually work your way up to those more challenging issues.
Okay, starting small makes a lot of sense. What else can we do to kind of make this process a little bit easier?
Another key is to practice self-compassion. Letting go can bring up a lot of difficult emotions, so it's really important to be kind and understanding with yourself. Recognize that you're doing the best that you can with the tools and resources you have available.
Self-compassion, it's like giving yourself a pep talk instead of a beat down.
Exactly.
What else can we do to kind of support ourselves on this journey?
Don't underestimate the power of support. Talk to a trusted friend, a therapist, or a support group. Having someone to just listen and offer encouragement can make a world of difference. Remember, you don't have to go through this alone.
Support systems, they're like a safety net, when we're venturing into unfamiliar territory. Okay, I'm feeling a lot more equipped to tackle this challenge, but I have to ask, like, does this stuff actually work?
Yeah.
Are there real people out there who have, like, experienced the benefits of letting go?
Absolutely. This research paper actually includes some really inspiring case studies that show just how powerful these techniques can be.
Okay, I love a good success story. Tell me about some of the people who have successfully let go and, transformed their lives.
Well, one of the most striking examples is actually from a study on forgiveness. They were looking at the impact of forgiveness on anger, stress, and overall life satisfaction. What they found was that the participants who actively practiced forgiveness saw incredible results, like a 40% reduction in anger and a 35% increase in life satisfaction.
Wow, those numbers are incredible. But what does, like, practicing forgiveness actually look like in a real-life situation?
So in one case, a participant had been carrying around all this resentment and bitterness for years after, a really painful betrayal by a close friend. And through guided forgiveness exercises, they were able to gradually release those negative emotions. And it wasn't about condoning the friend's actions, it was about reclaiming their own emotional freedom. They said it was like this weight had been lifted from their shoulders and they were finally able to move on, rebuild their life without being held back by the past.
Sounds like forgiveness isn't just about the other person.
No.
It's about giving yourself permission to heal and move forward.
Exactly. And that freedom, it can open up so many possibilities. There's another case study that highlights the impact of mindfulness in a workplace setting. They implemented a mindfulness program for employees who were experiencing high levels of stress and burnout. And what they found was a 30% decrease in stress-related absenteeism.
So mindfulness isn't just some like new age trend.
Right.
It's actually having a real impact on people's lives, even in like a high pressure environment like the workplace.
Yeah, and employees reported feeling calmer, more focused, better equipped to just handle the demands of their jobs. They were able to take a step back from all the chaos and make more mindful decisions. So not only did it improve their work performance, but it also reduced their overall stress levels.
Okay, I am definitely adding mindfulness to my daily routine. But what about journaling? Are there any real life examples of how that helped people let go?
Yeah, absolutely. One case study that really stood out involved an individual who was struggling with really intense feelings of regret after, a major business decision went wrong. They felt like they made this huge mistake, and they were constantly replaying the events in their mind, agonizing over what they could have done differently. And through journaling, they were able to process those feelings of regret and actually reframe the experience as a valuable learning opportunity.
So instead of getting stuck in like the what ifs of the past, they use journaling to shift their focus toward growth and self-compassion.
Exactly. And they were able to see the situation from this new perspective and extract these valuable lessons that they could then apply to future decisions.
These stories are so powerful. It really shows that letting go is not just some like abstract concept. It's a practice that can lead to real lasting change.
It is. And remember, letting go is a journey, not a destination. There will be ups and downs along the way. There will be times where you feel like you're taking two steps forward, one step back.
Right.
But the key is to just keep practicing, keep experimenting with these different techniques, and, keep believing in your ability to heal and grow.
Such an empowering message. So as we wrap up this deep dive, what is the one thing you want our listeners to walk away with today?
I think the biggest takeaway is that you have the power to choose what you hold on to and what you let go of. You don't have to be defined by your past experiences or your current circumstances. With each breath, you have a new opportunity to release what's no longer serving you and create space for something beautiful to emerge.
Beautifully said. And like the Mind Body Wise article reminds us, with each breath and every moment, we have a new opportunity for transformation.
Letting go, it's an act of self-love. It's
Yeah.
about freeing yourself from those burdens that you've been carrying and just opening yourself up to greater peace, joy, and fulfillment.
What will you choose to let go of today? It could be like a grudge that you've been holding on to, a fear that's been holding you back, or even just the stress of a long day. Remember all those tools that we explored today. Mindfulness, journaling, cognitive reframing, the power of forgiveness. Start small, be kind to yourself, and seek support when you need it. And never underestimate the transformative power of letting go.
You might be surprised at what becomes possible when you create space for new beginnings.
This has been such an insightful and empowering deep dive into the art of letting go. We hope you feel inspired and equipped to start creating a life that's lighter, brighter, and more aligned with your true potential.